Hello and welcome to Dinner for Wolf, where three friends from college spread out across the country gather to talk about good, bad movies and shoot the breeze with you all. I am the Blue Death, and I'm joined here by my friends,
Red line.
And Grey Wolf.
and none of us are in Japan, which makes us a little different from the setting of the movie we're about to talk about, which is Bullet Train. And I attempted to do a speed run, and I think in relative terms I achieved that, but well, listeners, if you haven't watched the movie before, you'll learn that it's very complicated and there's a little bit to go through. But here we go.
Okay.
Opening scene: a dad sees his son in a hospital bed, unconscious. On the news and the TV in the room, a creepy mascot commercial fades into a breaking news story about a poisonous steak being stolen. And the dad's dad lectures him on not being there to stop the poor kid from being pushed off a roof, even though Grandpa Pension over here didn't use all his free time to do squat. Brad Pitt as Ladybug, an assassin with a heart of gold, a big streak of bad luck around him, a new hippie-tastic look on life, and a punchable face and manner shaking off the rust after taking some me time, covers for an assassin taking a sick day and walks through a market to steal a briefcase off a train, loses his locker key and his train ticket in a suspiciously easily avoided bump and run from Daddy Bad Dad, picks up his locker open, and grabs some night-night powder, but not a gun, hops on the train, and walks past two British guys talking about Thomas the Tank Engine and snacks. Don't worry, they come back. Angry hospital dad becomes angry train dad, there to confront the person who admitted to pushing his son and gave their seat number, only to get got by a stun gun, a young woman, and his own sexism. Cut back to the British guys, Lemon and Tangerine, waking up the guy they rescued, with a lot of suspiciously loud chatter while on the train about all the people they just killed in the rescue. Turns out Daddy is the White Death, racist, who wants his son and the money back, or he'll kill his rescuers. Greedy. Dollar store Zen Master briefcase thief gets the briefcase, gets ready to walk off the train, but some dude won't step away. Rude. They fight, but later. First, Bad Dad's captor, named Prince, tears down the patriarchy and tells him her plan to get him to kill the White Death, otherwise she has someone kill his son. How? Again, that comes later. First, we get White Death backstory. Comes from Russia, kicks much ass. Rises up ranks, kicks too much ass, and takes over. They finish telling the story to each other as they look for the suitcase and come back to find the son dead. Womp womp. We then cut to the opening scene from Up, except a lot bloodier, as we see the entire life history of the man who won't let the granola assassin off the train, and who attacks him with a knife because he thinks he made his bride throw herself up to death on some wedding cake. We get a pretty sick ass fight scene that ends with the knife flying back at him and stabbing him in the chest, and him breaking his neck as he falls on the briefcase as Kara once again acts upon the unwashed assassin. Captain Karma and the world-leading Thomas the Tank Engine scholar have a really loud fight and chat about murder, and Captain Choo Choo gets knocked out with no one noticing any of it. Tangerine finds Lemon doing himself a nap and goes after Woman Insect, but gets fooled by sex-crazed Channing Tatum wearing that hippie's clothes. Lemon and Tangerine weaken at Bernie's White Death's son so White Death's dudes don't kill them at the next stop, while Prince makes Father of the Year plan to bomb the suitcase. Also, Brad Pitt finally gets a shower, but it's from a toilet. Turns out Prince rigs both the suitcase and the gun she makes Bad Dad keep to kill anyone opening or firing them. Put a pin in that one. Tangerine and Ladybug stall for time while the White Death's men don't kill them at the next stop. Again. Train moves again, and Ladybug kicks Tangerine out of the closing door, who then catches the train and proceeds to punch a hole out in the back with no alarms going off or stopping the train to get back on, while Lemon shoots Father of the Year, leaving him for dead. Creepy mascot that was on the train the whole time is revealed to be the poison assassin that killed both Angry Knife Dude's wife and White Death's son. Oh, also the snake she stole for its venom is loose on the train. She and Hippie fight over a dirty venom needle, and she stabs him with it, but then he stabs her and grabs her anti-venom, so she dies while he mansplains inventory management to her. Oh, also Prince shoots Lemon, who Tangerine finds later and thinks is dead, while Ladybug's handler talks him out of a panic attack. Tangerine finds out Prince is a diesel engine, that's bad, so confronts her, but she goes all damsel in distress to a helpful but sexist Ladybug who makes Tangerine shoot himself with his own gun, actually killing him. Bad luck makes Brad Pitt get stuck on the train again, and the snake bite him, as Bad Dad's dad gets on the train, but good luck means he has the anti-venom already, so he's fine. Probably. Granddad turns out to have been one of the people White Death betrayed. He's out for revenge, and left a guard at the grandson's hospital, so the would-be child assassin gets assassined, as Brad Pitt gets the full backstory. Also, Granddad is surprisingly confident that his son who got shot is alive, and turns out to be right, but Lemon is alive too, which is surprising, bulletproof vest and sleeping powder. They all get ready to fight the White Death, who James Bond villain explains his plan to have everyone on the train, the assassins who killed so many people he had to go take care of it, Lemon and Tangerine, leaving his wife to get killed by the guy he thinks the hacky sack assassin is, but isn't, and the lady who killed the surgeon that could have saved his wife's life, poison mascot lady, and his own son for being a douche that got his wife killed because he needed bail money. Oh, also Prince is his daughter, but she wasn't supposed to be there. Anyway, the bomb goes off, killing a lot of his men, and we get a pretty well choreographed and scored fight that White Death's super winning until the train derails when Ladybug pulls the emergency brake, as Lemon seemingly sacrifices himself by tackling a dude off the train, and they hit another train off the tracks. Unclear if that train had people in it. Bad Dad, Granddad, and eternal college freshman Brad Pitt confront the White Death in the ruins of downtown Kyoto, who is super about to kill them. But his daughter's plan works, his gun shoots his face off, and they all live happily ever after. Until Prince threatens to kill them all with a super big gun, only to be run over by a tangerine truck driven by Lemon. The end.
Bravo.
Thank you. The whole time I was watching this movie, I was dreading doing the speed run because I knew it was my turn. But there we have it. Anything I missed?
Again, faster.
Yeah. What was that? I actually didn't know that. I think we pushed it a little bit over 4.5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it was like 4.5, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Fair though, that was super convoluted and
Yeah.
you nailed it. If anyone was taking notes and drawing diagrams with assassin nicknames.
Yeah, that
First
was more of
time
a
I
metro
prac-
train than a bullet train for for Blue.
The first time I practiced it, I tried to do it fast and I was 2 steps away from a stroke and just decided I can't do that. But yeah. Anyway, that's Bullet Train. This came out last year. We watched it on Netflix. It did go out in theaters though.
Yeah.
Any guess on what the budget was and what the box office was, gentlemen?
Well, this is a director. Who's the director again?
Yeah, I say it's directed by David Leitch, Leitch, however you say that, who corrected or co-directed John Wick, Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, Hobbs and Shaw, and a few other things.
So those are
based on a
big
Japanese
budget
novel.
films.
Yes, they are. And I can
So
say it's based on a Japanese novel called Maria Beetle. But
I'm assuming that he got a good chunk of cash, probably I want to say 180 million.
that's Redgrass. Gray?
I'm gonna go with the under, say 120 budget.
Yeah. Budget was 90 million, surprisingly
wow.
low.
Wow.
According to Wikipedia, that's as much research as I
Or
put
Brad
into
Pitt.
this. So,
Awesome.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the box office. Any guesses there?
Well, this came out at the end of the pandemic, so it was actually in
Right.
theaters.
Right.
I had there's some good buzz for it, so I'm guessing it did like 120.
Right, Greg?
Yeah, I want to say it at least broke even. I was gonna guess around 122, but I guess I'll jump it at 150.
Again, according to Wikipedia, but surprisingly well, 239.
Oh, nice. Very well.
So,
Oh, you know what? International market.
that's true. That's true.
I'm
That's
sure.
true.
Yeah. What was? Do you know what the domestic international split was?
I do not. I can.
All right.
If someone vamps for time, we can. I'll vamp for time, and then you can look for that. But
Brad Pitt in a main role again. He was. I actually just before I saw this movie, I saw the movie with him, Sandra Bullock, and what's that guy's name? The guy who was in 21 Jump Street. What was his name?
What,
He was
Channing
also-
Tatum?
Channing Tatum. Yeah.
yeah,
You remember that like that romance story where like he's
I
running
do
around?
not. But
Oh, you know,
Well,
the
anyway-
one with the Sandra Bullock one?
Yeah, where
Yeah.
she's like a an author and stuff like that.
She's an author, and he's supposed to be the
yeah, like
the
Lost
model
City or
for the
whatever.
cover.
Yeah,
Like
he's like the
the
Fabio. Yeah.
And Daniel Radcliffe's in it. Like Harry
Yeah,
Potter's
yeah.
in it. Right. Yeah.
So the three of them appear in this movie as well. So it's kind of like a nice little continuation of that. But Brad Pitt is like, he's coming into his maybe mid 50s right now, right? Same vein with Tom Cruise. We really don't have like those heartthrob actors anymore that like, carried the movies in the 90s and 80s. Like we're not really producing them. Like what would you say would be like a Tom Cruise type actor nowadays?
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, I'm trying to think. You have the Marvels, Chris.
I was gonna
right?
say, I think
I was like, you can.
I think it transitioned to the young guys all doing the superhero roles.
Yeah.
Which
But they don't do
which
like
kind of
the
pulled them out of the standard action hero heartthrob.
yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I would say Hemsworth and Evans, but they are also now like in their 40s now. Like they're kind of doing like more prestige picks. and
You're
they're
right.
not
Yeah.
doing the
The Chris's,
the
the
Chris's, Chris Pine, Chris Hemsworth,
it's Pine, Evans, Hemsworth, and
the Jurassic Park guy, Chris
Pratt.
Pratt. Yeah,
There's like another two, I think. There's a
yeah.
lot.
This
There's
is
a
like
lot.
the Five Diamonds.
Yeah, exactly. They put them together. But like I watched Maverick on my flight over in vacation. And again, he that role again, he's in his 60s and he's still pulling off like this like main lead heartthrob kind of like position. He has a romance, he's the team leader. It's like it's strange. I wonder like what is going to happen in the next 10 years. Are they just going to CGI like our old
Yeah.
actors and not produce anymore?
Yeah, because there's people like Tom Holland and stuff like that that are like
Yeah.
they have their following, but they're not like hump people. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
You tell me
Yeah.
Timmy Chalamet ain't gonna carry.
Yeah, Timmy Chalamet. You got like
I mean, he's awesome in Dune, and then I guess he plays like teen heartthrob and everything else.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't think they have like the same kind of
They don't have the cachet yet.
yeah,
Right.
because they're
Idris
just not in
Elba's
those
also
movies,
50 something. Like I don't know. Right.
Well,
exactly.
it's just another tale of the boomers not letting go because
exactly.
because what's happening is your Tom Cruises, your Brad Pitts, your Sly Stallones, your Arnold Schwarzenegger, they're still hogging the roles. They're not passing the
that's
torch
true.
like they're supposed to.
That's
so
true. That's true. That's true.
you care to
Anyway.
go on a housing rant?
I do. I was actually restraining myself, but yeah, they won't. They hog all the housing, and now they're hogging all the hugs. It's rude.
So
Anyway.
this is a very kind of not unique for this director. It's very similar in vein to what he's usually produced.
Yep.
It's it's
A lot of
frantic
fast
action
cut with exactly
with humor and kind of just like
Yep.
on the varying side of things, you have Deadpool, which is like action with massive amounts of humor, and then you have John Wick, which has the quirky humor but still more action based. And this kind of falls right in the middle, where it's kind of like it's a dark comedy kind of, and it's like the Royal Tenenbaums, like combined with assassins.
This has like that quirky too many assassins energy of like a Lucky Number Slevin or not Seven Psychopaths. There's another one that's another like assassins ensemble movie that has this kind of quirky energy to it.
Was that you're talking about the one with Bruce Willis, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I forget what the title of that one was, but
Was that Red, the retired, extremely dangerous, whatever?
I think is that what you talking about? Red or like?
That's not what I was talking. I mean, that's similar, but that's not what the one I'm thinking of. I'll look it up. No worries.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, I would. This is gonna sound weird, but like, the movie was like. I kind of think it is half humor, half action, but it's like if it was possible for something to be 60% humor and 50% action.
Yeah, it's
that's
very
this
high
movie.
in the comedy.
There's
thing.
always action going on, but there's more emphasis on the comedy.
But the action is not so much like amazing action. It's more of like a Jackie Chan
yes,
where it's a goofy action where even the action scenes themselves are like comical. Like you have like a silent film era kind of physical, like a cartoon pretty much.
Yeah, but yeah, if like Jackie Chan, like a Police Story happened today on a train, like it's kind of
like the violence is gratuitous. Like it's not like really like toned down. Like there's very bloody, violent things, but they're done in a way that is like hilarious and just goofy, like a Tom and Jerry.
I will say, yeah, and I'll say, I mean, we'll get into like good, bad, whatever, but I would say like overall. Like, it's not the movie isn't witty. I think it's more, like, clever than wit. Like, the movie thinks it's wittier than it is as far as, like, plot twists and whatnot, but it's very clever in the moment. Like, the jokes and the actors playing off each other and all of that is very, very well done. And it makes it entertaining to watch. There's definitely some cleverness that they think they're doing that doesn't really carry through if you think about it, but, I mean, whatever.
Greg?
Yeah, the other movie I was thinking of was Smoking Aces.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Smoking Aces.
It's that kind of energy. It's like that, but it thinks it's written by Guy Ritchie, but it's not.
Right.
Like
So,
with all this stuff. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
So this, of course, like the director, even though it is kind of very similar in the vein of like Deadpool and John Wick and all those, he did not write this story. This is a Japanese novel, and so like the weird pseudo like I want to say like Neo Japan type motif that's going on is yeah. So this is originally a Japanese story, and in the kind of weirdness of it, like there's a scene where one of the main drivers is like Thomas the Tank Engine, where like the one of the assassins like is really into Thomas the Tank Engine. The morality of that show is actually part of the novels. It's not like an added
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did read that the novel was like it was humorous, but it was more serious and dark humor and less like slapstick than the
yeah,
movie was. But yeah, yeah, I didn't realize that part came from it. Alright.
yeah. So there are strange like so he did take a lot from the novels.
No, it's pretty good. I mean, like I said, there's definitely things where, like, I mean, at what point do the authorities take note of all the people on platforms with guns and another train being hit by a train and various other things and like you get so again going back to the speed run it's the White Death had basically bought for the last run of the line he had bought for the last two stops all the tickets so that it would only be those people on it but like if the wolf, the knife assassin guy, didn't get on the train at that exact door exactly when Brad Pitt was trying to leave to be in his way, like that. So again, suspension of disbelief. It worked as a movie. While I was watching it, I'm like, this is enough for me to enjoy it. But to Gray's point, the movie clearly thinks that it's like you thought this, but this happened, and the movie's not as clever as it thinks it is. Or it's witty, but it's not, right.
Right. It's witty, not clever, and it thinks it's both.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. But yes, exactly that.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where you have to suspend your disbelief, and if you're willing to, then you're gonna have a good time. But you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
You know,
cannot take this as a like a serious plot driven movie because it
like
just doesn't make sense.
I was gonna say, police don't exist until the very end.
Yeah.
Like they just literally don't exist in this world until the end of the movie. And then there's a couple of scenes in particular that we'll get to eventually, that just make no sense in this universe. Like they're
Yeah.
like, that's where it really turns into Looney Tunes.
Yes.
And if you're willing to like, accept that, you're gonna, it's fun.
Yeah, and like yeah, police in Japan have like fewer of them have guns, but like armed police exist and would at some point show up.
And
And then
police at all exist.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then the other he had that one conductor that was chasing him down. That was about it for law enforcement.
Yeah.
And then the one thing I will say is, and I think this was the closest I'll say to the movie actually being witty about this, but really it's just sort of an insert witty joke here instead of making a witty joke to do it. They give so Ladybug, Brad Pitt's character, is actually a really funny intro where like all the bad luck things that happened to people around and whatnot. It's just accepted that crazy bad luck happens around him. So like the movie's explanation is that his karma bad luck is why all of those things happened exactly as they needed to. And the elder, as they call it, the grandfather, even has that speech about, oh, it's your purpose to collect all this bad luck to let other people fill their destiny. So, like, that's the explanation. It's still silly, but, like, the movie gives you the explanation that you can suspend your disbelief with.
It's like the
and
motif
enjoy
is
it.
fate in this entire movie. Like what's
Exactly,
driven
exactly.
by like so what works with this film? It's again it's a stylish like well designed set piece, right? Like you have pretty much everything kind of consolidated within the train. So even though, it's going through kind of like this faux Japan, it's not really. Everyone who's in it, like, there's like maybe like 6 or 7 Japanese people. Even like the Japanese like father guy, like I'm pretty sure he's an American actor, and like
Yeah,
he's
the movie actually got some criticism for like most of the characters in the novel were Japanese, like Brad Pitt's character is Japanese and whatnot. So it actually got some criticism for that.
yeah.
But yeah,
It's more like a Broadway show than like like
right.
like
That's a
Hamilton,
really good
right?
way of putting it. Yeah,
Right. It's not supposed to be like
right,
specific to
right.
Japan. And I don't think the author minded too much about it because it was like
Right.
more, yeah,
Yeah, I
Or
was gonna
the
say,
author
so
saying, yeah,
yeah,
the author.
the author speaking up and saying that like they're capturing the essence of the characters and that's what matters
yeah,
is what got everyone to shut up about complaining about them whitewashing. Like it was this, it was that complaint was building and building, and then the author of the books was like, no, this is fine.
And I'll say too, one, I'm inclined to believe the author, and I think I agree with the explanation, although it's certainly a fair point to bring up. The other thing I'll say is like the author definitely, I assume, gets royalties from the movie and has some interest
Yeah,
in saying it's okay. So I mean, suspend your
yeah.
disbelief that way too.
I mean,
But
the
no, I
author
mean,
is author is an interesting guy. Like, he didn't become prolific until like much later in life. He was like an office worker, and he just like yeah, he wrote in the mornings, like before going to work. And this one actually became a hit. He has actually a couple of like novels out that are like actually popular. So things that work, this the choreography in this is like stellar. It's a really just like John Wick, right? Like he has a way of filming action scenes,
yeah,
and even though they're like incredibly goofy, like Brad Pitt's character, it, not really an assassin, right? He's trained well enough, but I don't think he's like his main job was ever killing people. I think he was just there either to gather information or steal stuff. And like through happenstance, every time he like encounters people that like try to kill him, they like kill themselves pretty much. And
yeah,
it
they
shows
they
in this.
yeah, they're sort of they never, at least I forget if they did. They don't come out and say like, I don't think I ever call him an assassin, but it's clear he's hesitant. He doesn't like guns. All this. He's
Yeah,
had experience with it, and at one point he says like, "I do snatching labs." Like Carver, the guy who was replacing,
right.
doesn't do that. Like his specialty is clearly not that. And yeah, there was actually a funny thing of like I think he was like blackmailing or getting blackmail photos, and like somebody jumped off their car to jumped off the roof onto his car to kill themselves. He like
Yeah.
drove them to the hospital. So yeah,
Yep.
he bad luck gets him into situations that good luck gets him out of,
Yeah.
basically, like all the
So,
time.
so I've got a question based on your point on a positive here of the choreography. What would each you guys say was your favorite of the fight scenes?
I mean, they're all there's a ton of great ones, right? I it's not the most intense one, but the even though it makes no sense that no one heard it, the them chatting and the contained fight scene where he and was it
With the,
Lemon is they're having this
Tangerine.
fight
in
there.
the
Yeah.
quiet car.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, wait. Lemon's the black guy from the Eternals, right? Or am I mixing them up? I thought Tangerine was the white guy with the
Oh, I
mustache.
thought you were talking about the
Oh,
Tangerine fight scene where like they're fighting and then like the person comes in and they stop and then like
no. I mean
No,
that one was also good. I'm talking about the one where they're like sitting and he fakes
oh
having
yeah,
the
yeah,
gun,
okay.
in the
and they're just
quiet
having
car.
a
He
Right.
conversation. Yeah,
Okay.
he
and the
slams his hand in
lady's
the
yelling at
laptop.
the
Yeah.
yep. Yep.
Yeah,
And
that
then he
was a
like
good one.
knocks him out with it and pretends that he's typing with it. Like it
The
just
whisper
was the
fight.
most yeah, it was the most this movie that like the whole
Yeah.
time you're like, this is absurd. This whole concept makes no sense, and yet I'm loving it and it's working
Yeah.
because I've
I
shot
I
myself.
did I
Like
laughed out loud on several one of these scenes. Like
yeah, same,
just like
same.
it's like a skit. Each one of the fights is like a troupe like commits to a skit, you know? And
Yes.
like the tangerine fight scene when they're like just in the char like yeah, and they're like in the food section. You know, they just they talk about their purchases and they take a break to have like this conversation and then they resume back
Supply
into
of
the fight.
water.
It's
Yeah,
like
Oh
exactly.
yeah, that's the one where the girl who works on the train comes in,
yeah.
and he asks her to buy a bottle of water, and then makes Tangerine pay for the water,
Yes. It's and
and
it's
then
just like
throws the bottle at him after
so
Yes,
that he
yes.
paid for.
besides the choreography, I think like the characterizations are like, you know, they're not, you know, super complex, but they're funny. They are so
Yes.
like punchy. Like
Yes.
Brad Pitt's like mellow grooving like self-help kind of like yoga guy, right? Is so funny and charming to watch, you know.
Yes. Yeah, the actors they all play it. So like Brian Tyree Henry, who plays Lemon, is like great in the like the Thomas the Tank Engine stuff. It would be so easy just like have that just be a stupid thing but like he makes you believe that his character actually views the world through the lens of you're a diesel. You're the worst. You don't care
Yeah.
about anyone. And Tangerine is clearly so fed up with it, but they make it work. And like everyone hits their
And then
beat
that all
exactly right.
culminates. That culminates at the end where when one thinks the other's dead, and vice versa, when one actually is dead,
Yeah.
they assign each other the two most prominent roles. One says you're a Gordon, that's the commissioner, that's the one human on the show.
Yeah.
And then the other one says, well, you're a Thomas, you're a
Yeah.
true Thomas,
Right.
and like,
Yep.
and they make that mean something by the end of the
Yeah.
movie because they committed to the Thomas bit the whole movie.
It was
where,
a
like,
payoff. Yeah.
everyone
Exactly.
Lemon meets, he assigns a Thomas the Tank Engine character.
Yeah.
And as the parent of a 3-year-old, I've watched a lot of Thomas the Tank Engine, and those jokes hit different
Yeah.
when you've watched a lot of
And-
Thomas.
And in the movie, he's right each time. Everyone, like, what his characterization of people ended up being right. Like, there's a thing
Right.
where,
Yes,
You
he keeps
think
saying he's
Brad
good with
Pitt
people,
killed-
and he is.
yeah, like, they think Brad Pitt killed the son. He's like, no, I forget what he called him. Like, he's not a diesel. I'm never wrong. That's not our boy.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yep.
he was right. And, like, it meaningfully changed how they dealt with him through the rest of the movie.
And him putting a diesel sticker on the girl
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
is how Tangerine knew that she was up to something.
And that's what I want to say about where the movie is witty but thinks it's clever. Like, for a split second, like, oh, they put a sticker. That's actually pretty smart. And they're like, no, it isn't. It's kind of silly. But the movie's like, yeah, now it all makes sense, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
kind of. Like,
Yeah, the characters and like how they interact with each other is very good. Again, it's like skit quality. Like they went into a reading room and it feels like they had a bunch of fun doing this. You know?
you know what it
and
feels like?
the other thing,
Sorry, like,
Go
it
ahead.
feels like like an absurdist, like when I say Monty Python, Kids in the Hall, whatever. Like, Whitest Kids You Know, absurdist comedy sketches, like, you know, like, I feel like 70% of them are misses, but 30% of them are hits. This is like if a movie did those and cut out all the misses and just left in, like, because none of it makes any sense, but it all flows.
Yeah.
So
That's the
it's
thing.
like,
It's not.
the whole thing's ridiculous, but it actually is quite cohesive. So yeah.
yeah. The other thing I think is a positive for this movie is that aside from the couple of flashback scenes that you get, or the little bit of exposition of the guy at the hospital and dad's dad and all that, they do a pretty good job of keeping it contained on the train and making that feel believable.
They do. They do.
Like, there's a handful of train movies out there. I was looking up a list earlier of of train movies,
Yeah.
and this might be. I mean, this might be one of the better train movies.
Yeah.
If we're gonna have a train movie category, this might be a top 5 train movie.
It's definitely one of the most enjoyable train movies to watch. You know, like
Yeah.
because the purpose of the train movie is like you condense all the action. There's no escape, right? Like, and you can go through like kind of the settings by cars, right? Like each chapter is like a new car. You keep moving
Right.
forward.
Yep.
So like, but the examples that we have are just like Steven Seagal's one, like Under Siege. That's like terrible.
Yep.
Just an
Right,
awful
yeah.
train movie.
You got Under Siege. There's Unstoppable, which is the one with one of our Chris Pine.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking
And
Unstoppable
Denzel.
is. Yeah, Unstoppable is probably also a top 5 train movie, which tells you the curve we're grading.
Right.
Like,
I mean, my favorite train movie. I'm not gonna say it's great, but I mean, Snowpiercer.
Yeah, all right. Snowpiercer, right? Yeah.
That's it's a good movie. It's a weird movie, but it's a good movie.
Snowpiercer takes it to an extreme. Snowpiercer is the only movie I can think
Also-
of where the entire movie is on the train.
Yeah.
Not even
Yes.
a flashback. The whole movie is on the train.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's
It
Train to
also has one of
Busan.
the has one of the Marvel's Chris Snowpiercer.
That's right.
Chris
Yeah,
Evans.
Chris
Yeah.
Evans.
Yeah.
Oh,
That-
all
that's
this is in the
that
train
movie's
movies.
weird though. For one second, you think you're having this like neat movie allegory about climate change. The next thing, you're in the back of a train eating babies with Captain America. Spoiler alert. So I mean,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
pretty wild.
that movie's a trip. But
And besides the choreography, good characters, the pacing is good. Like I was literally like I there's not a point where just like, man, I'm a little bored, like, or like I want this to wrap up, or
For me,
like
at
Go ahead.
one point it felt long, but not bad. Like,
Right.
like just like there's a point in this movie where I had this awareness of like, man, it's been like 2 hours. Like, is this movie
Yeah.
almost over? And then like I move my mouse and see the little slider of where the movie is.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's still a half hour left. And instead of like when there's still a half hour left to a Christopher Nolan movie, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
You're
okay.
like, what's gonna
Yeah.
come on?
How long till I get to the good part, right? This one I saw it was a half hour left at the 2 hour mark, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm in. Let's give me 30 more.
Yeah.
Like the pacing is really good, and it never it never overstays its welcome despite being long.
Like one of my friends back home from high school is like very like he's convinced that like there's no such thing as a fun movie that's not good. Like if it's fun, then it's good. I'm like, no, this is the exact example of him being wrong. Like this is not a good movie. This is a
Yeah.
fun movie, and I'm very happy I watched it. And it's just good to turn your brain off. Like when we watched it, I was like nothing big. There's a bunch of little stuff. I was having a stressful week and this that, and just like I just realized that I had just like sat for 2 hours without thinking about anything, and it was great. And it was just
Yeah.
like sometimes you need that. Like
So in like
it has that place in cinema.
the massive sum of things, yeah, it's like it's not like gonna win any awards or anything. It's not gonna go down, and
It
but
fortunately has like a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes
Yeah.
and stuff like
but like the craftsmanship of this movie is something to enjoy, right? It's like
Agreed.
you can enjoy the craftsmanship and you can enjoy like the acting and or the not so much the acting, but like the composition of the dialogue.
See the acting. It's the acting is they're all doing none of the actors show range. They all execute the same move again and again and again, but they do it very well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I also want to throw out the music was also very so the
Mhm.
music in general was good, like they had, but there were Japanese covers of Staying Alive and at the very end, Holding Out for Hero, whatever but
Yep.
Yeah.
I
The
need
Bonnie
a
Raitt-
hero.
Bonnie Raitt joint.
Like
Yeah.
and it was they were amazing. Like the whole like, is this? Yes, it is. Oh my god! And then it just keeps going. Like the music
Yep.
was the right amount of absurd to go with the absurdity of the movie.
Yeah. I think somebody, I don't know who this quote is from, but they said that the score to this movie was all vibes, no substance.
Yeah, I was going to
that's-
bring up that quote. It was the
that
composer
is-
said that. The composer said that. Yeah.
Was it the actual composer? I don't know if it was another composer or the one who did it. Was I didn't know.
I will double check, but I believe the
Yeah.
it
But
was
that
the
mean,
composer
that
said
fits,
that.
but it's delightful.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
what
but
it
that's
is.
the tag. But what I was going to say is that's the tagline for the movie. That's just the movie.
all style, no
It's
substance.
Yeah, all vibes, no substance. Yeah,
All
but like,
vibes,
yeah,
no
it's
substance,
just all vibes. I'm like,
Yeah.
they said this about the music, but yeah, composer Dominic Lewis noted that the film soundtrack represent quote all vibe and no technique. That was it.
No
All
technique.
vibe and no technique.
Okay, not substance.
Yeah,
technique.
yeah. But like, yeah, it's and again, that's I mean, I guess the film has technique, but like you get it. It's vibe, and you know it's vapid and empty, but it's like, a hit song in the summer that you hate that you like it, but you can't stop singing along with it. That's this movie.
Yeah.
Like
All right, so I think we're ready to move on to what didn't you like, or what stood out in
Here's
a
my
negative way.
top one of the top things that I was just like, this is not really working for me. White Death. That actor and that character really
Yeah.
bad. Like
Michael
Yeah.
Shannon is a good actor.
yeah, he's a
He
great
is
actor.
not good at playing a
yeah.
Russian-born Yakuza,
Yeah.
like,
The whole like, why does he have to be Russian? Like, why is this? So you can do the Russian roulette spin? Is that? Why?
I have
Like,
no
I don't
idea.
know.
Like I
Remember,
was
this is a-
hoping.
this is a Japanese written novel with majority Japanese characters. Maybe it's the way we always have a foreigner be the
Yeah.
bad guy.
Right.
Maybe.
I was hoping it was Keanu Reeves. I was hoping it was going to be Keanu Reeves as
That would have been dope. That would
That
have
would
been
have
dope.
been super dope. But like his face and like the long hair and like his swordsmanship and just like it's
You know what
It was weird.
when he first showed up and revealed himself as that actor, I was like, you know what? Okay, all right, let's see what you got. And then he didn't come through.
yeah.
But
It-
like
there
I
nothing
was
there.
when he turned around and I saw which actor it was, I was ready for it and I gave it
Yeah.
an open shot and it just
Right.
didn't land.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just the look, but there's just so much like kind of awkwardness and like his lines were just like, eh. You know,
Yeah.
of all the characters that are so interesting, his was not interesting. That was the problem. Like,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as far as within the movie, that I had the same note there. See, also the general note of just like the movie. It's not the movie itself, but like the movie as a whole. You can tell, like the director thinks this is a better movie than it is. Like, I think that if I was in the room with the director talking about the movie, he'd be sniffing his own farts the whole time, and that annoys me. But there's very little in the movie itself that.
So you're saying
that
you're saying
stands out.
it's obvious the director sniffs his own farts, but the movie doesn't sniff its own farts?
Correct.
Ah,
But
gotcha.
that's for somebody. It's like, how people say George Lucas was kept from ruining Star Wars, but like I think other people kept the director from making this movie too serious, or maybe
Yeah, it's
he's
possible.
just,
Okay, I can see
I
that.
but
I can see
I
that.
want to feel like I
right.
feel like the actors that he works with have a greater say in what happens in his movies than other
Maybe
directors. Because like
it
Ryan
does feel
Reynolds
like a
has
movie. Yeah,
like a commanding control over Deadpool, I feel like. And the same with John Wick, right? I don't know how like Keanu Reeves works with him, but you feel like that there's like a direction that is led by the actors who work with him.
it does feel like a movie, and I don't know that this happened, but like it feels like a movie where a lot of stuff could have been added, right? To your point, like where actors have a lot of like, I'm gonna do this way.
Yeah, I
Maybe
feel like
that's just they all
Brad
did it so
Pitt
naturally.
and like all the actors were just like they were vibing on set, and that's like how they kind of got the dialogue to be so punchy. Uh,
Right. The other thing is, I would say, it's sort of tied to the White Death, like, and I get it was needed for the White Death to not see it coming and all that, so I get the place in the movie, but like the reveal of Prince being his daughter, and like they didn't really give a
yeah, it was
reason why he
obvious.
didn't favor her, right? Like,
Yeah, they didn't need to.
like
Like they,
again, like yeah, like again, they thought it was more clever. Like, yeah,
yeah,
okay, this wasn't exactly shocking, and like I guess sexism, but they didn't have any reason why he realized his son was a piece of crap. But like, it, they put in the fix for the movie, and it just made all these other holes that they just didn't
yeah.
address.
The other
So
thing with that is it was never clear to me, and maybe you guys can fill me in if there's something I missed, exposition or plot wise. It was never clear to me why she chose that guy to knock his son off. Like, did she know his dad was the elder,
yeah, well, so I don't think that
or
they
was it
did do
just
the thing.
random and more of Ladybug's fate
Yeah,
pulling
Yeah.
everything in a
Yeah,
line?
I think it was more Ladybug's Fate. What they do show, like, I think she was just looking for someone who she knew had access to the White Death, because there was that scene where like she followed him around and saw him handing off money, and so
Oh,
basically
right.
I think she just found the first person that could do that, and somehow
Yep.
found out who his
Well,
son
she's
was and
supposed to
all
be
that.
like also. I think she's supposed to be like a parallel to Brad Pitt's character. Like they're both incredibly
Right.
lucky, and they both like
Yes.
they can just do things, and
Hmm.
like she can
It just
open
yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like
She
kind of like
remarks on
a
her good
supernatural
luck all the
power.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
She
Yeah.
remarks on her good
Okay.
luck all the time. Like when the suitcase
but
opens, when the
yeah,
guy guesses the code. Right. Yeah.
she could have been more developed and like instead of just a foil, like she was just
Right.
there as
Right.
a prop pretty much to Brad Pitt's
Right.
character.
Right.
And
Now,
Even though she's the one who makes everything happen in the movie, like in the movie, she's relatively minor. It's weird. Like, yeah.
yeah. Now, my thing with this was I was willing to ride with this movie for a lot of silly stuff, right?
yeah,
I think in the first 2/3, the silliest thing that happens is when Tangerine manages to get back on the train
yeah,
and
that
is
was
and is
ridiculous.
That
and
is
is and is hanging off of the world's fastest train and like
And he
punches
punches
the
it.
glass
Yep,
out
with a
while
ring.
hanging from the world's fastest train without a real handhold to hold on to.
Yeah. Those
Uh,
things travel at 220 miles an hour.
I was riding with this movie even through that, but this movie did jump the shark eventually for me,
Yeah.
and that's when the train crashes.
Yeah.
No human on that train is wearing a seatbelt of any sort. They are all already having sustained multiple injuries of various sorts, and every single named character survives that horrific train crash.
Yeah.
I will make a small correction. The movie did not jump the shark then. It jumped the aquarium or possibly the
Yes.
Indian Ocean. I don't know if it was the entire
Uh,
Pacific or
uh,
Atlantic Ocean. But yes, yes.
at that point, I was just, that's when I ran out of lifelines to give this movie, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
everything is
Like,
everything is too much now.
yeah.
So I feel like the movie for me it soured at the very end, but I was with it all the way until then, and then it was just like a bridge too far.
Yeah.
I will partially agree with you. Like everything you said, I agree with. Right? Like it was like, oh come on, that like I had so much fun. I was still all in, even though I'm like, yes, this is too silly. Like it definitely jumped the shark, and I was realizing it was jumping the shark, and I realized that I didn't care, and I was still enjoying it. Right. Um, but one minor thing, and like this actually bothered me much more, even though it's a much more explainable thing, because I feel like they gave a reason in the movie why it wouldn't happen and then ignored it, unless maybe the wolf, who's the assassin and played by Bad but I don't know. Apparently he's a rapper that's famous, but I'm old and lame and don't know who this person is. But apparently very famous rapper plays the knife assassin who goes after Brad
Yeah.
Pitt because he thinks he killed his wife. But
Yeah.
like so in the backstory thing, they show him like getting intel and photos about who various people are. And he had a photo of who the assassin who killed his wife is, and it's not Brad Pitt. It's the Hornet. So like so I don't know if he didn't look at the photo or if he saw that and then just they show that he saw Brad Pitt at the wedding, so maybe assumed they were accomplices, but like
Yeah.
he
Well,
looked down at the photo before he got on the train
the reason why he
and
didn't
then saw
die is
not the
because of
person
Brad
in the
Pitt.
photo. Right. But so I get that's the luck thing, but like when he's
No, I mean
getting on the
like
train, you see him.
so his family completely dies, right? Brad Pitt
It,
spills wine on him.
it,
So he's the only one that has to leave because of Brad Pitt,
it's
and he doesn't die with
it's
his family.
correct.
Yeah.
No, I get all that. What I'm
Right.
saying is when he's getting on the train,
Yeah.
why does he attack Brad Pitt when he
Because
looks
of that.
down at the photo?
Well, I mean, if your wife that you just married and your entire family all got killed at the wedding,
Right.
and you knew that there's this person who was the on the staff at the wedding was the assassin, wouldn't you automatically be highly suspicious of all of the staff that also survived?
That's fair. And again, I might just be focusing in too much,
And
but like
you
he says,
randomly saw them 10 years later or
yeah,
however many years later.
Yeah, in the
and I
same train,
agree.
both of them.
And I agree. That's the explanation. The part that, and I think this is me being too nitpicky, but why it still bothers me a little bit is they show him looking down at the photo of not Brad Pitt, and then he attacks Brad Pitt. I'm just like, why was that there?
Right.
If you're doing that, like
if
they
you're going to do
didn't have
that,
that photo
put
there at
Brad
all.
Pitt in the background of that photo.
Right,
Right,
exactly. Because you already know he was there, and that's why he attacks him broadly. But why is he checking the photo? That is what
Yeah,
threw me.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but yeah, the rest of it makes sense because yeah, he's not gonna like no, he spilled blood on me. He saved my life. Like no, that's not how that would go.
No, it's like, yo, that's one of the other survivors. He must have been in on it, fight on sight.
Right.
that.
Exactly. It was just
his death is a little goofy. Like when he throws the knife and the knife ricochets off the case and then stabs him. Like that was a little goofy
Yes.
of all the kills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the best one was the Hornet one. The Hornet kill was hilarious. Like one of my the favorite. Like,
do you want some water? You got some?
That was funny.
He clearly feels bad, but he's being such a douche. Like, oh god,
it was great. But like in general, like I feel like they didn't even try to ground a lot of the stuff. They just didn't care. There's nobody on the train. Like they did a remark which was like, I bought all the tickets after like Shibuya or something.
Right.
But like even in the food cart section, every time they have like interactions where they fight each other, like it's completely empty. It's like an empty car, you know?
Yep. Every time.
Yeah, every time.
Yep. And it's like, and through I would realize after action scenes were over that I'd forgotten that, and I'm just like, I don't care, like that's fine.
Yeah.
I actually wish the movie paid even less attention to it because every time they tried to be clever, they weren't. Right? It's just like, listen, it works. Brad Pitt, look.
Again, it was more like a Broadway play where like they were just like it was they move a bunch of like objects and set pieces in the background, and then like, okay, now we're in the next scene, and you don't have any.
That's a really good way to put it. That's a really good way to pull it. Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that bother me. Like, look, it's not the movie clearly thinks it's more clever than it is, all that. But like, I recommend this as a watch. This was it's sometimes you just need a summer blockbuster to do this. Like, you get amped up watching it. Like the soundtrack's good. Like it's good to do fun things, even if they're dumb. Like watch the movie. I liked it.
Gray?
Yeah, I mean, turn your brain off, turn the movie on. In that order, because if you do it in the wrong order, then you probably end up grumpy.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, I actually kind of am curious about like what were the main complaints were like in the 50%. If it's only 50% fresh, huh?
I think go ahead.
The things that aren't really bothering us about, they're like, yeah, the movie thinks it's smarter than it is. There's all these plot holes. Like, yes, but I don't like. What were you expecting from this movie? Is my response to those people. So like, if you're in their defense, like a film critic's job is to be like, is this movie good or not? And like this is not a good movie. Like,
Right.
it depends on what that, like, if IGN is rating it versus like, I don't know, some Academy frequenting director, I don't know, classy publications. Like, those are two different audiences. But like all the things we mentioned are whatever, it's a blockbuster. Like it's the same reason like summer blockbusters always get bad reviews. Like because they're not well written. Stuff like that, Like Daniel Day Lewis isn't in it. Like that's the problem.
Yep.
Shall
So
we?
so
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
regardless of what we think of a movie quality wise, if it's a good movie or not, when we watch a movie, because we are astute and
Oh
intentive
yeah.
watchers, we always learn something.
Oh, of course.
So, and now we're going to ask, what is the moral of the story? What did you learn watching this movie today?
So I learned. Well, really, I learned to trust my gut, right? But I think it reestablished a lesson that I've been wavering on as I get on in years and a little more polite and deferential in my use of public transit, as someone without an automobile. But I think it's a lesson for the audience, and that is you must politely but assertively assert your right of way to exit a train. You just need to you say excuse me once, and then if they don't move, you say excuse me again whilst proceeding through them. And if Ladybug had done that, he would have gotten off at the first stop. The wolf would not have had time to do that. They'd all have that thing over there. He'd have the briefcase with no one to give it to, but that's his handler's problem. And you don't want to be walked all over. You don't want to be like lowering a shoulder and tacking people down. But like it's like an elevator. You let someone off the train first. Don't be that guy, and take your right of way.
You shortened this movie to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Listen, I'm not a director.
all right, Red, what's your moral?
So you'll notice that in this train scenario, right? Everybody who wore a mask, they died. I'm just saying that I'm not making any corrections, correlations, or anything. I'm just public
Just asking
transportation.
questions? Are you just asking questions?
I'm just asking questions, all right? Like
All
why?
right, I'll say it. I have all my boosters and still wear a mask in public transit. Disclaimer for the podcast.
every
Well,
every person.
okay.
wore a mask.
I'll fix this. They were all dragon masks.
Okay.
Yes. Or
Ceramic
true.
dragon masks. We're not
That's
talking.
true.
Yes. Or a mascot giant puffy costume with a matching head. But
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so medical masks only, no
Medi-
dragon masks.
No ceramic dragon
right.
masks. You will get killed
Okay.
on that train.
Okay.
All right, I've got two. I've got one quick one, and then one that's a little more thoughtful here. First, when you are dealing in instant kill level venom poisoning, bring 2 doses of antivenom.
Oh yeah, very important.
I really sat and thought with this one for a minute, and I was like, you know what? I'd have
Why
brought
not?
2.
Yeah,
Not
why? They're
because
so small.
I brought 9. What are you talking about? I don't want to like drop one and then
or in case there's a chance where I have to give it to someone. Someone gets venomed who shouldn't have been venomed. I don't want to unalive someone I didn't plan to unalive that day.
Very true.
But I still want one for myself.
Yes.
So bring at least 2 if you're a poisoner. Then second, we already touched on this one in the beginning, which is why I had to come up with 2 morals today. But do not, under any circumstances, lose your ticket or get on a train without buying one. Because according to this movie, that is the only enforced law of this entire universe.
Entire universe.
Yes.
There is.
You'll have the guy from Heroes chase you down for the rest of the movie.
That is the only kind of enforcement of any rule that this train had. No rules of humanity were followed other than you need a ticket.
You know what I could have used?
Also,
I could have used a little bit of Indiana Jones, no ticket.
Yeah. Yes.
I could have done with that homage.
Yep. I will say I just enjoy, and I don't disagree. That was a great moral, but I enjoy how your moral, Gray, the first one was like there's a really easy like don't poison murder people there. Be like no. We're accepting that you're a poison murderer. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're a poison murderer, make sure But in the Keep with Bullet Train, that makes perfect. That's the kind of moral that someone in Bullet Train would need to know. So
Oh,
you know what? There we go. That's I nothing for us, right, gents?
I believe so.
Yeah, yeah. I
Alrighty,
think
but yeah, I mean, well, I just overall, like, I mean, I give this a recommend. Like, I say watch it. I don't know. It looks like you two agree, but
yeah. I give
alrighty.
this
Oh, that's right. The ratings.
4 out of 5 boom slang anti venom auto injectors.
All right, Red.
I'd give it all the sorrows of the world out of all the sorrows of the world.
I'll give it 9 slowly moving escalafters out of 10.
And with that, we'll call it a night.
That's dinner for Wolf.
When I was in New England, or so they often told, I played it all the way, Joe. That if I didn't watch this film, I'd miss out on the store. I played it all the way, Joe. Play ho, watch today, we'll watch this film together. Play it all the way, Joe. Play ho, watch today, weekends on forever. Play it all the way, Joe. Our podcast is in dire need of film so non-specific. Play it all the way, Joe. We'll carry on and watch some films with rims that are Pacific. Play it all the way, Joe.